It's time for some facts that happen to be made out of brass. Today we're going to be looking at the Stribog, though I actually think it's pronounced Stribog. Who knows? I'll just pronounce it wrong the whole time. I'll have a full review on this when I've gotten some serious time behind it. I'll cover specs, features, opinions, and my experience when that drops. For now, I'll just leave it with my first impressions and things I noticed in the first evening of running it, around 300 rounds, give or take. The first big thing worth mentioning is the price, because that kind of puts everything in context. It makes a lot of the cons a lot more bearable, and the pros even more impressive. This pistol caliber carbine comes in at $820, which includes 3 mags, a pistol brace, and folding pistol brace at that, and a nice box to add to my overwhelmingly large collection of gun boxes shoved into the closet. On to the actual pros. First off, really easy to suppress. Comes with a pre-threaded barrel and a nice thread protector, which is pretty good. It's easy to suppress, you just throw the can on and the firearm just works. No need to adjust any gas system, not that this has a adjustable gas system. The recoil impulse also doesn't really change anything, or the entire handling of the firearm doesn't really change. Yes, there's some extra blowback, gas coming out of here, but beyond that, you put the suppressor on and it handles more or less the same, aside from the barrel being slightly heavier so the gun stays even flatter. So, really nice gun to suppress, actually, as far as I can tell so far. This firearm is also incredibly ambidextrous, and it's not just half-assed ambidextrous. The ambidextrous controls are basically mirrored on both sides, so you don't have to learn some weird manual of arms as a lefty, as I'm so familiar with. So, first off, the safety. While it does feel semi-chintzy at first, I hit the camera stand and my drink. Let's get rid of this mag. Well, it does feel a little chintzy in terms of being just a plastic safety when you're so used to AR safeties. It's actually a very good detent, comparable to AR detents, and I've seen AR detents that are significantly worse than this. So that's a really good safety, all things considered. Next up, the mag release is also ambi. The bolt catch, bolt release, also ambi, and mirrored, basically exactly the same on the other side. And the charging handle is swappable. So not technically ambi, but you can bring it back here, take it out, and swap it, which I've done. I've moved it to the right side so I can run it as a lefty. It also has functional iron sights, which I wouldn't count really as a negative because I don't really use them. They're non-adjustable, and they're kind of really low, so you can't even co-witness properly through a red dot. But they're useful backups, and yeah, they fold out of the way, and you don't even have to think about them. So it's a nice addition, for sure. On to the actual handling of the firearm. The recoil impulse is, we'll say, not bad. It's nothing special, being direct blowback, and you feel it, especially after a long day with the thin stock. At least it's not a shockwave. But the good thing with it is it's a lot more push and very little noticeable muzzle rise. I think it has to do with the large reciprocating mass and the way they've set it up. I remember reading something about that. And the mass comes forward and cancels out the rise of the muzzle, so to speak. A point of comparison would be something like the Sub 2000, which has noticeably more muzzle rise, being essentially also a direct blowback carbine. Good recoil impulse for what it is. Trigger is a bit stiff, but actually impressively almost no creep. So I'm getting it on the trigger. No, I'm not going to ghost it with you. But yeah, there's just this tiny, tiny bit of slop that is almost incomprehensible unless you're in a room doing it in front of a camera. And then a solid wall, somewhat heavy trigger, and then a clean break. So generally, I prefer 2-stage triggers, but for a pistol caliber carbine, which is going to be used almost exclusively in very close ranges, 2-stage is not necessary. Pistol grip. I'm surprised I'm complimenting a pistol grip, but for not being rubber, for just being plastic, this gripping panel offers a surprising amount of grip. And the angle is not a traditional AR angle, which is what I kind of would have expected, which would be something like back here, which would be very miserable on such a short length of pull. It is much more aggressive, kind of like a K2 AR pistol grip, if you know what that is. There's a lot more I like about this rifle, but that'll start kind of getting into takedown, features, so on and so forth, and I'll cover that in the full review once I have a good bit of round and time behind this Stribog. Onto the cons. As mentioned, the cons are kind of annoying. They're cons, obviously, but with the price tag, it kind of goes from being cons to nitpicking, right? There's only so much you can get with a firearm priced aggressively like this. After all, the firearm itself is only about $700, I believe, without the brace. First off, I think the bolt catch, bolt release could have done better with having a larger shelf. This is a lot of mass on the bolt carrier, and it's kind of difficult, let me rock this to the rear, to consistently drop the bolt with such a tiny shelf. You can kind of potentially see that it's just not much to purchase onto. Yes, you can do it in the confines of your room, but honestly, at the range, when I'm shooting this fast, I prefer just to use it AR style at this point, where I come in and drop the bolt like so, or run the charging handle. The bolt release is just too stiff because of the bolt carrier, and it could use with a slightly larger shelf. But yeah, there's ways to get around it. Number 2, where are my sling points? I know I could attach a QD socket up here or on the rail or a ring for a traditional sling, but I really felt like there's a missed opportunity not to just have a single sling mount here at the back so I can run this single point. Generally, I am very against single points on rifles, but for something so small like this, I don't really need the benefits of a 2-point sling. I'd like to single point it. Right now, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. Perhaps there's an aftermarket, but now I'm just asking for extra features, so I don't even know if that's really a con. And for now, that's really it. I'll get more into my use cases as well when I get into that review video, but for now, that's it. If you're curious, what's on the Stribog right now is a Holosun, doing well. I have another one on an AK, and I'll be doing a full review on that when I reach a decent confidence level, maybe 2,000, 3,000 rounds. I'm running a HSP Thorntail mount with a, what is it called? Streamlight HL. Good flashlight, good mount, just not a fan of it in this combination on this pistol caliber carbine. I'm probably going to swap it out for a Thorntail. I'm probably going to swap it out for a Arisaka mount, which will bring the light much more into the profile of the carbine. Thus, this is kind of out there, and it's just not desirable, especially since this is going to be more of a backpack car gun for me, so I do want to reduce the profile. And anyway, that's it. I do have the Instagrams, so if you'd like to follow me on there, I occasionally post pictures. I don't know. I'm not really into it that much. But I'll see you guys in the next video, and have a good week.